তোমরা এরকম সুটেড বুটেড জিন্স কই?
So should we start?
Yeah, sure, go ahead.
First of all, I would like to start off with a story. Nazmunda, mother of one. Last year she had nothing, absolutely nothing. No food, no shelter, nothing to give to her children. She took a gamble, she took a risk, she took a loan from a microcredit institution, and then that year there was bumper growth in June. She is now a happy and successful woman. On the other hand, half is me. A father of 3, wife died last year. He had a lot of things. He had a shelter, food, money. He took a loan for expanding his agricultural business, but that year drought ruined it all. He had no money, no shelter, and he lost his dignity. He took the easy way out. He ended his life. So, what I am trying to say is, microcredit or microfinance can make or break you if it's not at the right time for the right people. Ladies and gentlemen, we are Team Skinny Jeans. Now I'm going to hand over to Mr. Adam.
To begin with, let's talk about what microfinance is actually all about. It's basically a set of financial services which are provided to the poor and the rural people. And surprisingly, the whole concept of microcredit has become the face of microfinance globally. These are basically the numbers which show where the microfinance institutions or MFIs of the global world stand right now. And these are basically the key MFIs of Bangladesh. The pioneer, as we all know, Grameen Bank. Then we have several NGOs playing in this field, like Proshika, Asha, Bragg, etc. And then we have commercial and specialized banks, like Bangladesh Krishi Bank, Rajshahi Krishi Bank, etc. And we also have some government-sponsored microfinance projects like BRDB, or Bangladesh Rural Development Board, and Shortnipar Bangladesh, which are also playing in this field. Moving on. So let's talk about the 2 different formats of microfinance and how it basically operates. And it basically has 2 different formats, like individual lending and group lending. In individual lending, only a single borrower is given the whole loan amount, and he or she is liable for only his or her money. But in group lending, the borrowers are required to form a group of borrowers, and every single member of the group is liable for each other's money, which reduces the risk of the company and also the profitability of the company. Moving on. And now let's have the SWOT analysis. These are basically the strengths, weaknesses, and opportunities for any MFI of Bangladesh. The strengths, they basically fight poverty in Bangladesh. They focus mainly on women empowerment, and they are widely established in Bangladesh. And to speak about these weaknesses, we have the local interest rate is pretty higher than the global average, and the global average, as we know, is 37%. And the emergency disbursement of loan is often not available, which is a very huge drawback for any MFI. The opportunities, we can say that the whole loan format is easily accessible for the poor. You have salesmen, or the MFIs have salesmen to access to them and provide them loans. And it also creates the higher employment opportunities, or high employment opportunities. And there are always threats like failure of recovering loan amounts. Higher rates are less likely to be reduced in the future, and as we can see, the chances of cheating is always high in this field.
So I'm going to talk about the problems. The main problems that we saw here in the case and while doing our research is that the interest rate is very high. This is basically due to the high operations costs. They're actually approaching the people in the rural areas. So this is actually causing them to spend a lot of money for which the interest rate is high. The second cause is people often do not receive loans in the right time. For instance, you apply a loan for 6 months, which you are supposed to receive after 6 months, but you receive it later. So that is going to be a very problem. And the third problem is that you find difficulty reaching people who are in the rural areas. So while assessing the problems, we found that there are different groups of people in different steps or different levels. For instance, there are people who are not yet aware of the system, of the microfinance system. There are people who are actually interested, but they are not actually willing to take the leap and lead to the evaluation process. And there are people who have actually tried, who have actually evaluated and tried, but not ready for the adoption process because they are concerned about the drawbacks of the microfinance system and they are not actually ready to adopt it. Okay, this is the first solution that we have. We will collaborate with Union Digital Centers that you have seen in the A2I case that they are actually available in different districts and in different places in Bangladesh to make it more approachable. The same goes for rural healthcare centers as well. What this will do is like this will make the microfinance system more approachable and more people will be people will be able to approach it better. And another thing is like while doing that, if we do that, this will actually reduce the cost that we're facing, because previously the banks had to go from place to place and then approach people. But now people will actually go to these centers, which are actually in different cities, and this will actually reduce the cost and thus the interest rate. So these are the pros and cons. There will be high reach, it will be easily accessible, and cons are to be expensive and very aware. The second solution is we have actually put a whole awareness campaign inside a solution. Would be awareing, as we have talked before, there are people who are not actually aware that microfinance actually exists. So for them, there's a whole awareness campaign which has a duration of 1 year. We'll be approaching different political figures because they are the head of different villages and people actually listen to them, the morals and the group leaders. And then we'll be going to different Dhaka and village fairs to reach more people, and we'll actually take someone who's respectable and let them speak for a minute or so, for 30 minutes or so about the microfinance system. And third is we'll approach the tea vendors. In rural areas, what we see is that every day during the morning, people gather in different markets, the cities. And they talk to the tea vendors and they talk to different people. So these tea vendors are the people who actually have most approach and most access to different people. So these are basically the solutions. Next slide. These are the pros and cons. There will be high reach and it doesn't involve formal education. And the cons is that it's really lengthy and it focuses only on the rural people. As we know, there are poor people in urban areas as well. Next slide.
Now the solution number 3. As my friend has already said, that there are two types of lending, the individual lending and the group lending. Well, in Bangladesh, the common practice is the individual lending. But certain banks like the Grameen Bank and a few other banks, they follow the group lending also. Now, what's the advantage of group lending? First of all, the interest amount. That is shared amount of all the borrowers. So obviously they have less burden to pay out. And secondly also, the banks will have an incentive because they will see that they will be providing the loan to a group of people. So as a result, there will be less risk of failing to repay the loans from the lenders. As a result, there is the next slide. The pros and cons that we have found is that the interest rate interest rate will be lower and there will be a better reach. And the cons would be that it will be a difficult policy to convey. Solution number 4. Well, so far we were talking about microfinance as just lending money to the poor people. But what about we take it a step further? What if we say that we will lend the money, but at the same time we will provide guidance and assistance to the people to whom we are lending the money? For example, the projects that the poor people will carry out, we will actually guide them how they can carry them out and how, and we will actually monitor the projects, how it can become successful and what are the difficulties that they may face, and we can also provide them with some resources. The banks can actually provide them with some resources. Then this can also be used as an awareness campaign. But the pros and cons of this solution is that, first of all, the pros, the people will better utilize their money because they are now having a guidance from the bank where they have to invest the money. And also, less amount of people will face collateral damages. Like usually in Bangladesh, we see the people, the farmers, they suicide or maybe they have to sell their lands to repay the loan. So that will be lower. And the cons is that expert knowledge is needed. More technically efficient people are needed for this. So there will be increased costs for the banks and there's a chance that initially there is less participation.
Well, now for the big idea, we think that just this is not going to help. We think that it's going to be enough, but what if it's not enough? So the big idea is going to be making a competition, like creating a competition among the financial institutions. As we know, loans or microfinances, these are basically from financial institutions or organizations. So why not push them? Why not push them? Why not poke them to make this a competitive field? Why just Grameen Bank or the NGOs? Why not most of the banks we know? Why can't they start it off? So we thought that we could show this figure to them. For example, for 1 year, suppose after the awareness campaign, we've estimated that only 30% of the total population, which is basically, we have seen that only 40% is under the poverty line and 30% is only the farmers or directly involved or indirectly involved with agriculture. So they are basically 4.8 crore people. How about if we reach around 63% of these agricultural-based people, that is only 3 crore people, and only 1% of this rich only is engaged in this. that means only 3 lakh people are engaged. Then if they take a minimum amount of loan of 10,000 Dhaka, for example, and if there is only 5% interest, which is basically not the interest, the total interest the bank is going to take, this is basically the profit the bank is going to, credit institutions are going to make after all the procedures are completed, after the operation charges and everything. This is going to be around 150 crores in net profit after everything. And this is a, sir, could I take one more minute, please? Thank you. So this is basically a big idea. This is basically pushing them to this platform of a competitive field. And this is very important. And this will ensure maximum reach, maximum engagement, and this is going to be better for all of us. Now the takeaways. At the end of all of this whole campaign and this whole process, we will be approaching more people, more reach. There will be banks getting incentives to come onto the field. They will be introducing new competitors, which are going to be the banks and other institutions who are going to think of this as a very competitive field. And there are going to be less problems and less complications to get the loans, because there are going to be easier ways to get the loans. Thank you, sir. Thank you, everyone, for your time. We are open to questions.
All right. Good presentation, even though you took up a bit more time than I think you originally planned. But I'll have some questions, and lastly I'll give you feedback, all right? If you don't mind. First off, you presented basically 4 solutions. Which solution are you exactly recommending? Or is it just a big idea that you're recommending, and the 4 solutions are there for, what is the purpose of the 4 solutions that you
So the big idea is the main idea. It is the main solution, and there are definitely other solutions as well. So the main solution is to invite all the banks and all the financial institutions so that it becomes a competitive field. The problem that we're seeing is that they're high interest rate and people are not actually reached that much. These all are going to overcome if we involve more people because of the competition, as we've said. And all the other solutions are, as you have mentioned, that there are different sets of people in different groups. Like some people are aware and some people are not aware and some people are struggling in the evaluation stage. So we have actually planned solution for each of them. So we will actually approach each of them in a different way. So to welcome them in the microfinance system.
So all of the solutions that you presented are big solutions involving a lot of costs. So you are targeting each of these solutions to a certain aspect of the awareness to adoption level.
Yes.
So which solution is for which level? That did not really come out in your presentation. So I'm curious, could you please elaborate that a little bit?
One by one?
Yeah, just the levels.
So basically, sir, the awareness is the first solution, creating awareness. And then the second one, the adaption, the second solution. First solution is basically you need resistance for the awareness. Second one is also for the first awareness and also then awareness and then interest. So this one is going to cover the first and second. This is very important. The third one is going to show the third one. Basically, this is for evaluation so that they can see that there are some opportunities like these. Then they're going to see what if we don't try. This is trial and evaluation. Afterward, the fourth solution is basically a new idea. After they've tried, they're going to see if they're going to go further or not. That is up to them. We cannot do anything because that's on preference and other factors. So this one is basically a different solution, which is in the awareness stage, but it also goes through the other 4 stages as well, but not the last stage. And
So
the big idea is basically something that will create.
So all these 4 solutions utilize, and you're going to create a competition among banks, if I'm right?
Yes.
You said that the banks already have people at the salesman level who contact with the farmers. So why are you suggesting some of these ideas involved actually going to people like opinion leaders in the villages and etc.? So why are you contacting those guys who already have salesmen over there? That's number 1. Number 2 is, how are you educating those guys, for example, tea vendors? How are they going to be able to explain how a loan operates? So how does that come about? Are you educating them? How are you going about that? So these are the 2 things, if you could please explain.
What we can do is since the Union Digital Centers are already there, what we can do is we can actually send one of our people there. So you'll be sitting there and you'll be actually collecting the forms where which people will be applying for loans and everything. This can be one thing. And another thing is what we see is that for every loan institution they actually send people to rural areas, but we can never have enough people because you never know. You might send in one village 2 people and they might go around and ask people, but there might be some other unapproached area and unapproached people who might need more. So definitely we can never have that. So if we place our people in unity digital centers and different places like fashion centers.
If I could add some more, suppose Elite Mobile. Many of us don't even know that it exists in the market, but just because it has salespeople does not mean we know about it. So basically, those people are helping sell this thing. There are people in the shops, there are people who are selling this, but is there enough engagement, enough reach? I don't think so, because the people are supposed to know about it first, but a lot of people in the rural area, the people we should target, the right people, they do not know about this. This is one of the main problems that Dr. Mohammad Yunus also in an article has said, that we should be going to, the clients should not be coming to us, we should be going to them. We also have the source if you want, and that is the main problem of microfinance, because people do not know it as a whole. The people we are going to engage, they're not well educated, they're not well informed, they need to know, and that's why the awareness campaign, that there is something you can use to make yourself a better person, prove yourself as a better, in a better position.
But you know that there are lots of big microfinance organizations, at the same time there are some also small organizations. You know that there is a correlation between the remoteness and then poverty. The poor people live in the remote villages, but the big organization may not be interested to go to the remote areas, but the small organization might be interested to go there. But at the same time, if the organizations spend a lot of money behind the awareness, and then their interest rate will be higher, because a small organization, they also have some operation cost, and then if the operation cost might be higher, and then interest rate will be higher. So how you will be considering these factors?
Well, basically, if I could explain. So, we have seen that if there is only 1% increase after the whole campaign, there is going to be around 150 crores in profit, net profit, right? So if you think about it that way, that it is going to be a lot of costs and then the interest rate should be higher, well, that's not necessarily so. Suppose we have spent around, for example, there are going to be 64 districts, 2 campaigns in each, there are going to be 2 events in each district at the root level, so that their maximum reach. We are not going to get everyone to see our project, right? We're not going to be able to create awareness among everyone at the maximum amount. That is not going to cost more than 12 lakhs, maximum for each district. This is not going to be more than 64, basically, 64 into 2. It's going to be around 1 crore 28 lakhs. It's not going to be at that much, considering the profit just for increasing 1%. So basically, the costs are not going to increase afterwards, because there's going to be a competitive field and people are going to prefer the least amount of interest rate which is going to be provided by those institutions. For example, we see Grameen Phone, Banglalink. This is a battle. Everybody prefers the one with the least amount of interest rate, the least amount of call rate, and also a better solution, right? A better coverage. So basically, it's like this. It's a business field. So you're going to go for the one with least interest rate, but business people are also going to think about it that we need increase in the net profit. So they're going to approach it that way.
If I may add something, you said there are little institutions, small institutions which actually go to the rural areas and all. That problem is going to be solved if we can increase the competitiveness. Exactly. There will be a lot of organizations and a lot of institutions will be intervening, and they will be competing among each other. So definitely they will actually broaden their reach, and they will actually go to the rural areas. And we might see big institutions like BRAC and Grameen Bank reaching digital.
You know that there are 3-4 types of poor people actually. Some are very extreme poor area, some are a bit better, and some are a bit better. But some organizations are not interested about some certain level of people who has certain level of assets. If the asset level is, for example, less than 5,000, the particular organization are not interested to provide loan to those people, and some people are interested who has asset level less than the 3,000 Dhaka. So in that case, how you will be considering these 3 level or 4 levels of poor people? Some organizations are interested about the ultra poor people, some organizations are not interested about the ultra poor people, but there are some business risks.
Well, basically, first of all, we would like to increase the reach within those levels of people. When there are more people engaged, there are going to be more profit, and they will think that it's not going to be as risky as before because we have more money now. So then they might go for those kind of level of people because they will be looking to expand their business. They are also potential customers. If you have seen, there is this one particular quote in the case that has been written by Mr. Rala, that if we can put those 4 people as contributors, it's just going to be much more than just an opportunity. It's going to be a whole new level of business. So that's the thing. First, we increase their business with increasing reach, increasing profit, and then they're going to think, let's expand our business. Then they're going to think that we have more money now, risk can be taken. No risk, no return. The greater the risk, the greater the return. That's going to work in their minds. Then they're going to go for the little ones.
And if I may add again, increasing competitiveness, what it could do is like, before all the other mobile phones came into the market, Grameen phone was actually the dominating one and monopoly. So it was charging 7 Dhaka and it did not actually reach the rural people. But after all the competitions arrived, they actually thought that there are more fees that we should actually approach. So if the competition is that fierce and if it is increased that much, then definitely they would be like, even if we are offering loss, even if we are recurring loss, we would actually approach the poor people to increase our market share. That was basically it.
I said I was going to give you feedback. Just looking at the numbers, all right? 30% of 16 crore people are involved in agriculture. So you're saying some percentage of that are going to take loans and some percentage of that are going to give you some profit. Don't take 16 crore next time because it includes all the little babies and all those grandpas as well. So not all of them are going to take a loan, right? So because it's your big idea, it's an important slide. So this is a sort of a rookie mistake. Don't make that next time around, all right? Thank you guys.
Thank you.